Welcome in to Says Who Sports right now, the coach of the signature program in college softball for over 2 decades, who led her team to a record 4th straight national championship last month, who has won 8 national championships overall, has won more than 1,500 games in her storied career, among the top 3 all-time winningest coaches in college softball history. Coach Patty Gasso of Oklahoma joining us. Coach Gasso, welcome to Says Who Sports. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Coach, congratulations on that 4th straight national championship. You beat Texas in the championship series to do it. What have the weeks since the season ended been like for you? Have you been able to get a vacation with the family, for example?
Not really. No, it's interesting how our season works itself out. So at the end of our season, we host a camp, then we're into recruiting. You're dealing with portal athletes, you're dealing with exit interviews. So you're traveling, recruiting, you're bringing in visitors. So it's been nonstop. And we had a little couple days at the lake, short, quick turnaround, and then back on the trail. So I'm looking forward to something the early August to get on the beach somewhere.
You mentioned the transfer portal and the role or the ingredient that is now in the program and how that works. From a roster perspective, rounding it out and filling in those spots, you've got established players, including the young ones who gained valuable tournament experience last season. Best of best recruiting classes always coming in, now balanced with players from the portal. What is this era like, Coach, with the portal ingredient?
It's tough to balance. It's a hustle. You got to really hustle. And you've got a lot of people looking for the same thing. So what is going to make us look different than everybody else? Well, it's being creative. Again, it's the hustle. It's looking at your lineup and giving yourself options as to which one you might get or which one you want more, so forth. So it's tough, and it's right after. I mean, it's literally the season's over, and here we go.
Where the portal is concerned, Coach, how do you kind of make sure a potential transfer fits the Patty Gasso Oklahoma mold?
I think it's me watching them, looking at their video. A lot of them I've known, maybe we've played against or so forth. So I'm really looking for their hustle, their grit. I look for that first. If you don't have that, you're going to have a hard time living in our program. So just look at their analytics, look at their numbers. Many of our athletes are friends with others, so it's really talking to our athletes, finding out what kind of person they are before we even bring them on campus, because you really have about 2.5 days to try to get to know this athlete and her family the best you can, which is hard because you're not seeing maybe always the real them. So I try to do a lot of research. If it's the right coach and there's, I could call the coach, the program from where that athlete came from. A lot of times it's a little uncomfortable to do that, but if they're the right coach that I could connect with, then I would. But I really try to research what's behind the athlete.
Oklahoma and Texas are now members of the SEC. Next season will be your first in SEC play. How does that move flavor your off-season approach, Coach? How does that figure in, and what do you say about what you see at this point in the teams from the SEC?
Well, it's a very tough conference. I think everybody knows it's the best conference in the country. And looking at some of the schedules day in and day out, like every weekend, you don't have a breath. Like you got to be at your best for 8 straight weeks. So our schedule is very tough. Our SEC schedule. I think it's a way of them welcoming us, I assume. So playing Alabama and Florida both on the road. But it's good for us. I mean, our program has never been afraid of competition. We always welcome it because it makes us great. I don't like run rules. It might feel good for the players, and maybe you're getting off the field a little bit quicker, you're saving bodies, but it doesn't make us better. And so I do believe I have such a new team coming in. I have 8 freshmen, 7 returners, and 5 portal athletes. So I have
Wow.
13 new athletes to blend in with our 7 returners. So it's a new beginning for us, but I'm really excited. There's a lot of things I want to go back to. That is kind of the foundation of our championship mindset. But we look forward to it. We look forward to competition. It really brings out the best. If it brings out the worst, then you got to figure out how to make it better. So we're looking forward to it, very much so.
You and the Sooners have done a whole lot of winning in the last 2+ decades, historic excellence. But I want to go back with you a bit to when you arrived at Oklahoma in 1995. You're from Southern California. You get to Oklahoma, the program didn't even have its own field. Describe what Oklahoma was like, Coach, when you got there for the job.
Yeah, well, I'm from the LA area, so I was about fast pace and traffic and, just everything moving very quickly. When I got to Oklahoma, even on the interview, I'm like, where does everyone live? Where are all the people? Why are they out walking on the streets or walking their dogs or jogging? I just felt like I didn't see anybody. We got to the university, I grew up at Long Beach State, so this was a wow factor. The facilities are bigger than anything I've ever seen. The football stadium fits 80, 90,000. So I'm like wowed by this. This is a small college town with big time college athletics. Although softball wasn't on that big time docket. It was, here's our softball program. We play over here at Reeves Park, which is a city park. We'd go over there and practice, but we had to be off by 5 o'clock because slow pitch had to come on. So we were run off. But I would have our team go over early and pick up trash. There was trash from the night before, slow pitch tournaments and slow pitch leagues. We'd have to pick up beer cans, dirty diapers. I wanted us to understand the blue collar style of no one's going to make this field pretty for us. We're going to do it ourselves. So we literally started at a park field, outgrew that. They built a stadium, Marita Hines Stadium, which was probably 500 chairback seats, and then the rest was standing room only, so we could get maybe 1,200 in there. We outgrew that, but now we've got a beautiful stadium that can pack in 4,500 plus. So it's been 31 years of starting from literally nothing and watching it grow into the best stadium now in the country, with hopes that other people from this stadium could find a way to make theirs better. So, we started literally from nothing.
The first few years there at Oklahoma as coach were tough for you from a family perspective. The balance of family, you had young children, and the job. You thought the 2000 season might be your last. Share with us what was happening then.
Yeah, well, my husband moved back. The work that I was putting in did not match the salary. And I had 2 young sons, and I didn't feel like I was good at anything. I didn't feel like I was being a great mom. I didn't feel like I was being a great coach. I was torn between the two and worrying about both. So I had a very unbalanced life. And my husband was moving back to California. He got a full-time job as a soccer coach and instructor at Fullerton Junior College, and that's where our home, that's where both of our families are. And so that was the plan in 2000, was say, let's pack it up and let's head back. And God's plan was quite different, and we won the national, unassumingly, won the national championship in 2000. So the pay changed, the commitment to the stadium changed, everything changed, and felt like God's work was being done, saying, you're not leaving yet, your work is not done. And that's when I really had a different mentality towards coaching and understanding, what am I doing here? Am I here worrying about my livelihood and my job security and how am I going to take care of my kids? Or am I here to help open up doors to other athletes about what life might look like beyond softball? So that really changed our perspective. And we were living apart as husband and wife for a couple of years, which was really, really challenging and difficult. But it was, working on him getting back here to find a full-time job. And finally that happened, and things got back to settled family order. So it was a tough time in our lives.
You're from Long Beach, of course, as mentioned, and you coached at Long Beach City College before you took the Oklahoma job. Long Beach has a rich history of strong softball and baseball players. Talk about, Coach Gasso, what that Long Beach history and being part of that means to you.
Well, it was some of the best times of my life, really. I mean, playing in college is just very memorable. But I went to a junior college, so I played 2 years at El Camino Junior College in Torrance, and then transferred into Long Beach State for 2 years. I knew I wanted to coach from a very young age. So what was nice for me is, as I got into my major and where I was going in my future, I knew it was going to go into coaching. I didn't know if it was going to be softball or basketball. My first coaching job was basketball. And but in Long Beach, I gained a lot of friends. I gained a lot of connections, which allowed me to come back after I coached some years in high school. My first college job was at Long Beach City College, which was much closer to my home because we did live in Long Beach. Mm-hmm. It was a wonderful place to live near the beach, and beautiful area. But we knew that the times were changing and the prices were changing, and man, the difference between living in Oklahoma and Long Beach, both have their perks. But to raise kids out here in Oklahoma was probably one of the biggest pulling points to take the job.
Great stuff, Coach. Among all of that Long Beach area talent in which you were immersed was one of the greatest hitters in Major League history, Tony Gwynn. Did you know Tony, Coach?
I didn't. I met him, but I didn't really know him. But I really loved following his career because he was just very humble and just kind of that blue collar. I got to meet him when he was coaching at San Diego State baseball after his career. But yeah, he is still the biggest sports name in Long Beach history, likely.
Yeah, I wondered if you and he ever had an opportunity to talk the game,
No, he was a big shot, and I was just a little nobody. So he didn't know me from anyone. But I went in meeting him. He was just extremely friendly and just a normal, humble guy, which I really liked about him.
When you were growing up, Coach, your mom worked hard, and single mom, and yet found the time to take you to a nearby park in Long Beach with softball fields. You learned sports essentially from her, right? Talk about your mom's influence in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom was raising three kids on her own, and we didn't have a lot of money. I had to learn the hard way, which is the greatest blessing I could ever wish upon myself.
Mm.
'Cause I wouldn't be sitting where I am right now without that and learning about blue collar hard work. And that's how we had to live. Um, Actually, we lived in Torrance, which is a city, a few cities down from Long Beach, and my backyard opened up to a park. Literally, I opened up my back gate and I was in a park with softball fields, with outdoor basketball courts, and all the rest. And every day I would go over there and meet up with friends, just kind of like Sandlot, really, except we had better fields than what they had. Um, but I learned that uh, I was a very shy young girl, and I still am, unless you really kind of know me. But when I got to the park, I was someone different, and it was because I was very comfortable. I was a good athlete, and I was always chosen like that. My friends would come to me and say, "What are the rules? What are the teams? What do we use for bases?" And I thought, this is a nice gig. I wasn't, I
Yeah.
don't think that I was born a leader, but I learned that I want to have a say in that. So I learned how to embrace that role, as shy as I was. But I was really more shy around adults than I was, my friends or people my age. And I just learned the game there. But my mom was my coach, and she was a really outstanding athlete. But back in her day, in the, late 40s, mid 40s, girls are not playing sports. And so she was a beautiful woman, and she was into more of like cheerleading, band, all of that, like very into the groups, and like the women groups or girl groups. Very social, very beautiful, but a kind of a hidden, closeted athlete. And when we would get to the park and I would watch her move around, I'm like, wow, I never knew my mom, so I just kind of followed her a little bit. And she was always my coach, and I was always playing up. And
Mm.
I just didn't know that women could coach in high school, that there were very many women high school coaches, because I was still in elementary school. And I'm like, if this is a way to make a living, I mean, I would do this for free.
Huh.
This is what I would be dreaming of. So I knew from a very young age what it was going to be like through following my mom. But my mom and I were big sports fans, Dodger fans, Laker fans. Back then it was the Los Angeles Rams, and we would listen. I learned about baseball first, and I listened to Vin Scully on a transistor radio.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah,
That's
I'm not.
fantastic.
I listened, I closed my eyes, and I visualized what he was talking about, because sometimes we couldn't get him on the TV. And so my mom and I shared that together, and just still do. She unfortunately is living with dementia, still likes to watch our games, but we've lived sports together as long as can remember playing.
That's amazing stuff, Coach. So special. Thanks for sharing that. So you listened to the legendary Vin Scully calling Dodgers games with your mom on the transistor radio. I mean, that's
100%. Yeah.
that,
And I would listen to it sometimes at night. I would sneak it under my pillow if we were in bed. They were playing later. So, yeah, I really learned about the game through listening and visualizing, because I could never really see it all the time. Yep.
unbelievable. And I grew up on the Big Red Machine when they were in the same conference, the old
Oh,
NL
no.
West with your Dodgers. And I listened on a Radio Shack transistor radio, same thing as you, under the
Yeah.
covers at night, trying not for the parents to discover it. It was special times, though. Coach, you and your program, Oklahoma has long been now synonymous with the Women's College World Series but you attended your first ever College World Series as a fan, right? While you were, is this correct? While you were coaching at Long Beach City College, describe that experience and that awakening for you.
Yeah, talk about just ironic. But that's, again, I believe God's hands all over this. He had a plan for us. My athletic director at Long Beach City College, where I was coaching, was her name is Mickey Davis, and she's in the ASA Softball Hall of Fame. Very popular athlete and very, very big, large personality. So everybody in the softball world knew her. So we would go on like a, oh gosh, like a work conference, so to speak, but it was us going to the World Series. And I was so intimidated by it because she was so popular with a lot of the coaches, and I was just a JC softball coach. Nobody knew anything about me. So I would kind of let Mickey Davis do her socializing, and I would sit over there in the corner and just watch. And at that time, there was maybe 2,500 people there, and I thought this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, because I've not seen more than maybe 50 people at a game. Maybe we would get 100 sometimes at Long Beach City. So I'm sitting there in awe and watching elite softball and thinking, man, what would it be like if one day I could be coaching on that field and in that coaching box? So I would be watching coaches and kind of thinking, man, I don't know that I would do that. And I would just play the game in my head against. I paid a lot of attention to coaches' calls and what they were doing, and lineups, and just really paying attention to those types of things. But my dream was just like an athlete going to watch the World Series, going, oh man, what would it be like if one day I could be playing on that field? And that was my dream as a coach. But I'm living in California. I'm not seeing myself. I was not going to get a big time college job in California. It wasn't natural to say, oh, let's take this junior college coach and move her into UCLA. I mean, UCLA, they were grounded. I mean, they were going to have their coaches forever. So even Cal State Fullerton or even Long Beach State, they weren't really going after, I didn't assume, junior college coaches. So it was a dream that I thought would never come true. And here I am.
Incredible, Coach. And just a few more for you. And again, so appreciate your taking the time with us. Your program has set a standard of historic excellence, so much winning, and 8 national championships, as mentioned, for you and counting. But you've said your real purpose as a coach is not about the wins on the field. Please share what that means, Coach.
Yeah, I will. There was a really dark time for me in coaching, and it was probably around 2007, 2008, maybe even a little bit later, maybe, yeah, in that era where we weren't winning. We weren't even getting, we were trying to get to the World Series again. We won it in 2000. We went back a few times after. And then once you win it all, I know this could sound weird, but it's almost like a drug. Like, I got to get back. I got to get back. I got to win it again. You got to win it again. And I was chasing that, and I wasn't being a very good coach. Again, I don't think I was being a very good mother. I was very unhappy with myself and my circumstance and what I was doing, and felt like, I don't know that this is really for me again. And going back to the junior college, less pressure, just an easier life. But I had a wake up moment where the Lord just really spoke to me and said, you need to stop this. Because I was about winning. And me hearing him speak to me saying, it's not about that. you're doing this all wrong. This is more about opening hearts and bringing. I'm not out recruiting Christians. I really am not. I'm out recruiting softball athletes. And I offer opportunities, whether you are from whatever religion you are, you want someone to come in and do chapels with you, or you need that, I will set you up. But majority, I think our athletes know that that's where my heart is. So some of them will reach out to me personally. But then I really started knowing that I had to change my approach and just be a little more godly, be a little more grounded and fruitful, and um, let God take over this program and let Him lead me to that. And it changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my perspective, which allowed me to open doors for athletes that wanted to step through. Not all of them want to, and I don't. I don't push that. I just, for those that want it, the door gets opened, and I've really counted a lot on Sarah Roberts from um, FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, has become a very close friend of mine for the last 25 years, and she has kind of taken on the role as chaplain and does Bible studies, has done chapels on Sundays prior to us playing, but I've felt the Lord just take this program over. And if you're wondering why we're winning, we work hard for it, no question. We have elite athletes, but these athletes are not afraid to share their convictions and their faith on the national stage because they're feeling like that is their calling. And many of them are, when will you ever see Sooners and Longhorns arm in arm surrounding the pitcher's mound praying after a game? And our players will do that to every team, invite them. Some say yes, some say no. But we are unapologetic, and we're not going to apologize for the way they feel. I allow our players to express themselves in those ways, and I think the Lord has something to do with our continued success because our players continue to honor Him and worship Him on those big platforms and in those press conferences and on the field and with the fans and through their face or through their Instagrams and Twitters, Facebook, whatever. They're not afraid to share, and that is really important, and that has changed our program. And we have people who embrace it entirely and some that are like, that has no business here. Our players, they're more than just athletes, and all of them have different stories, and I want them to be confident in sharing that. So with so many departing, the 10 seniors, a lot of them had a very strong, firm foundation of Christianity. This could be a new beginning. I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm just going to pray for whatever God has intended for this new generation of athletes.
So well said, Coach. On the back to what you said in those your personal struggle in those earlier years with success, yet not feeling right, maybe feeling like it was the wrong approach. Was that ego, and how do you keep ego out of it, and how do you have teach the players to keep ego out of it?
It's hard, and that is a good example of what I was feeling. It was all about winning and winning, and I'll lose my job if I don't. It just the stresses, and I've learned that losing helps you win if you handle it the right way. But I also our players taught me this too. I mean, the end is written. It's already written. So with that, we are unafraid of losing. And I think that has a lot to do with the way we play at the World Series. We're not afraid. We know the end is written. These athletes know they've been given a gift, and just go for it. Use it to the best of your ability and just trust that the ending is going to be written by the Lord. Whatever way it comes out, we accept and we get better and we move on. And so we've made it quite easy in the way of getting rid of the pressure because we already know that it's written. So just let's go. Let's go. Play free, have fun, glorify Him, and see where it gets us. But what has been happening is, without words, our players are I'm not they are allowing people in the stands to witness what Christ looks like without us saying a word, not a word. And we have gathered some cool, they eyes up. They create their own mottos as we're going into postseason. And a lot of them are very Christian based, and it's freeing for them. It's very freeing for them. But I've watched athletes being baptized in hotel pools. I've watched athletes being baptized in my pool. They've been baptized in apartment pools where they live. It's pretty amazing to watch the transformation of life here, because some of these athletes have found Jesus, and all they want to do is share it. And again, this is a wide open, be who you are program. And if that's not your thing, it's not your thing, and no one shoves it down your throat. But we all respect each other in that way. And maybe you believe something else. We respect that, and we honor that. But everybody here is free to be who they are and believe in what they want. But majority of them have that Christian tone behind them, and they've changed lives like I've never seen.
Powerful stuff, Coach. Lastly, for you, as you look at the college softball landscape, and you guys at the top of the mountain still, from your perspective, is the game in a good place? Is it in the best place it's ever been? There's a lot of attention on the game now. Incredible athletes, more than ever. What does it look like to Patty Gasso?
I think the game is in a great place. I am excited. The numbers, the viewership, the fans coming out. We played 2 years ago. We played Texas on a Friday night, a Big 12 conference series. We opened up at the Hall of Fame, and we had over 9,000 people there just for a game, but regular season game. So it's been crazy from this side, but everywhere we go, the fans are showing up. So I think the sport is growing, the viewership and the fan bases are definitely growing. I feel proud about that because I feel our team has had something to do with that. People really enjoy watching them play and who they are. So I like where we're going. I wish we would all just celebrate it together as a world of coaches a little bit more. But when the portal comes in and NIL and accusations and finger pointing, and it takes away from our growth. And, that's kind of the sad part for me, is that this is a time of celebration and continued growth. But I feel from a coaching side, softball needs to be a little more in tune with each other versus pointing fingers at everybody all the time.
Coach, again, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And thank you for everything you have done for softball, for sports, for women, and for helping young ladies, we'll say in particular, understand what is possible with faith and work ethic, special stuff. So thank you again. Best in the SEC. We'll look forward to seeing how all that unfolds. But it feels like you are, I wouldn't say rejuvenated, but certainly there are some factors, including that SEC looming, that probably give you an extra rush, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I love challenges. I think that's what drives me is when someone says you can't. And I've had that happen to me quite a bit in my lifetime, or you won't. And with this new group going into the SEC is going to be rough, but I am so excited about, we're going to take our lumps and that's okay because it's going to set us up going forward. But we do have some really young, good, outstanding athletes and a balance of older athletes that have proven themselves here from the portal as well as our returners. So I think this is going to be a really fun reset of the program. And yeah, I am definitely excited about it.
Thanks, Coach. Stay well, and we'll look forward to seeing your Sooners next spring.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.